Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us this evening for the final webinar, which comes under the Automathon India 2020 program. So this particular session, let me just take you all quickly through the agenda of the webinar that we'll be having today. So initially, I am Azure from Scalenza, and I will be taking you all through the entire Automathon India 2020 program. That is why you should be taking part in this particular hackathon, which is also a program where you get to upskill yourself, take part in various other challenges and meetups as well. And then we will be having our first speaker from Automation Anywhere, who will be introducing you all to their A2019 platform on how can you build bots and automated solutions using their A2019 platform. And we also have one speaker from who will be introducing you all to Microsoft Azure functions, and post that we'll be answering all the so feel free to raise any questions that you have, shoot it out at any point of time. Just make sure that you use the Q&A feature, which is available on the bottom or top of the screen, right? Now, let me just quickly take a minute to introduce and welcome our speakers. So we have Amitav Mishra, who's the Cognitive Automation Pre-Sales at Automation Anywhere. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening. We are more than happy to have you. We also have Mohit Chabra, who's a Microsoft MVP, which stands for Most Valuable Professional. And he's working as a software engineer in Media Less in GmbH. And he's joined us all the way from Germany. So thanks a lot for joining us, Mohit, this evening. So before we move on to the speaker sessions, let's quickly give you a brief introduction on what is Automathon India 2020 program and why should you take part in this particular program, right? So the whole idea of this particular program is to build automated solutions that either leverage or operate on Microsoft Azure cloud services using Automation A2019 platform. So what this essentially means is Automation Anywhere offers an automation platform on which you can build software bots that automates any business processes. So developers can build bots that either use Azure cloud services like cognitive services or any of their APIs to solve a particular or a problem, or which either operates on Azure cloud services so that they perform an operation on Azure cloud. For example, we can take an IT operation, right? So that is the whole idea behind this Automathon India 2020 program, where we want all the developers to come up with great solutions through the entire program. So before we move on to the online hackathon stage, so this is essentially divided into two ways. That is, first we have an online hackathon, which is happening over Scalenza platform, and it's already live. And based on the submissions which are done by the teams of their projects or automated solutions, we will be shortlisting the top teams. And these top teams will be getting an opportunity to attend the Grand Hack and Career Fair, which will be happening on March 28th in Bangalore, happening at Microsoft Office. And we also have some exciting, cash prizes for the winners in the Grand Hack, right? So apart from that, we also have the cash prizes for the winners or the top teams who are in the online hackathon. And those top teams will also be, we will be providing them with travel reimbursement if they are traveling from anywhere outside Bangalore. Now, an overview of this entire program, right? Why exactly are we calling it a program and not just another hackathon? So in this particular program, that is Automathon India 2020, we've organized a number of meetups across India, that is in Bangalore, Pune, Delhi, and yeah, also Hyderabad. And apart from that, we've had various webinar sessions, and all the recorded webinar sessions can be found over Lenza platform. And this is the final webinar session that we are having today for this entire program. And apart from that, we also have an urge, where we bring in all developers together and provide them a platform where they can build automation solutions that is using A2019 and Azure services. And based on these challenges, they get to compete during the online hackathon phase. And also apart from that, we have quizzes which are live over Skillenza platform. So please go ahead and take up the quizzes if you haven't done so, because quizzes will also be considered while we are shortlisting the teams for the grand hack. And here's the schedule that we have for the entire program. So we have completed all our meetups, that is in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, and Pune. And we had 2 meetups in Bangalore, to be very specific. And we had really great sessions being organized across India. Apart from that, like I mentioned, we already have completed 3 of our webinars, and the recorded webinar sessions can be found over Skillenza platform, like I had mentioned earlier. And post this session, again, we will be uploading the recorded session if at all you have, any roadblocks while you're working on your project. And now coming to the online hackathon phase. So initially we had kept it as 4th March, but some of the teams have raised a request of asking us to extend the dates. So we will be pushing 12th of March. And that will be the last date for the submission of your online hackathon project, right? And based on that, we will be shortlisting the teams like I had mentioned, and we will be sending out invites by 16th March. We will be sending out all the invites, and those teams who will be getting an invite will be invited to attend the Grand Hack Plus Career Fair. And now talking about why exactly, what's in it for you to take part in this particular Automathon India 2020 program, right? So like I mentioned, you get an opportunity to network with developers, like-minded people, and you obviously get some amazing goodies as well during the Grand Hack. And apart from that, we also have some exciting cash prize, like you can see. For the online hackathon phase, we have first prize winners get 50,000 rupees, a second prize winner get 35,000 rupees, and the third prize winners get 15,000 rupees. And once you are completed with the online hackathon stage, the shortlisted teams will get an opportunity where they come for the grand hack, which will be a 12-hour hackathon. And also there will be opportunities for you to network with people from the RPA industry. And you can look out for great opportunities through this grand hack as well. And apart from that, you will have the cash prize. The first prize winners get 1 lakh rupees, second gets 75,000 rupees, and the third gets 25,000 rupees. Now, let me just take you all quickly, that is about, give a brief introduction about Skillenza, where the entire Automathon India 2020 program is being hosted. So basically, we are a platform where, professionals like you come and take part in these challenges, and, they showcase their skills. It could be through coding challenges, through hackathons, or through various other challenges like quizzes, right? And organizations host these challenges and give you an opportunity to take part in these challenges. Now, since we are talking about the program and the platform, let me just quickly take a minute to take you all through the platform itself, so that you all are clear on what exactly how exactly can you take part in these challenges, and how can you do the submission and form a team. So like you can see, once you click on the activities page, you can find the Automathon India 2020 program. Just click on that and it will take you to this particular page. Now, this is the landing page of Automathon India 2020 program. So all the details you can find in this page, where we have the about section and then various other tabs. We have the discussion forum, where you can go ahead and shoot out your questions related to the program or the platform. And then we have some really, really amazing resources as well, which is provided by Automation Anywhere and Microsoft, right? So you can find these resources over the platform, and feel free to utilize them, take a read at any point of time, and which will actually help you while you're building the product. And then the timeline and also the webinars, like I mentioned. So we have all the 3 recorded webinars previously, which were organized. So you can take a look at these webinars at any point of time. Now, let me just quickly show you all on how can you your team as well on the stage, right? So this is this is where you can find the stages once you're done with the registration. So right now you have to, since I've registered, initially you have to fill in details about yourself. So I start on this particular stage, and this redirects me to this place where I have to answer these set of questions. So let me just quickly answer these questions, right? Yes, okay. And once I've answered all of these questions, what I have to do is I have to click on submit. Right now it's asking me because it's mandatory. Let me just skip this. All right. So please make sure that you answer all of these questions, right? Only then you will be able to submit. So once you click on submit, there's this button which says end stage. Now here's the very important for you to note. So if you have answered all of the questions, you can click on finish activity, because once you click on finish activity, you will not be allowed to answer any of these later on, unless and until we reset the stage for you. So please make sure that once you have answered all the questions, you click on end stage and finish activity. Or else, since I haven't answered any of the questions here, I'll just click on return later, so that I can access this at any point of time, right? So like since I clicked on return later, it shows to me as resume stage. So similarly, once I complete more about you stage, I will be qualified for the team formation stage, where it's pretty much the same. So in team formation, you can either send out requests using your friends' email IDs, which they have registered over Skillenza platform, to join your team, or you can either request to join some team, right? Or if you are planning to work as a single member, you can go ahead and do, because the minimum number of people in a team is 1 and maximum is 5. So please make sure that you stick to that. And apart from that, we have the quizzes. You can take up these quizzes. And also, once I complete the team formation stage, I can then go ahead and do the online hackathon submission. So this is how exactly you can access the various stages that is there over Skillenza platform. And if at all you have any questions with respect to the platform itself, just feel free to shoot out any questions in the Q&A section, which is there on the bottom or top of your screen, and I'll make sure that I get those questions answered for you, right? And now let me just yes. Okay. Now, so that's all from my end for the introduction of Automathon India 2020. And without further ado, let me take the honor in introducing our first speaker for the session. So we have Amitav Mishra, who's working as a corporate on the cognitive automation pre-sales at Automation Anywhere. And he's here to talk about A 2019 along with the demo. So we are glad to have you with us, Amitav. And with that, I hand over to you.
Thanks, Azure. Let me quickly share my screen. And when I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Amitav Mishra, and I'm part of the Cognitive Automation Engineering team from Automation Anywhere. And today I will walk you through uh, the a 2019 IQ bot, how IQ bot extends the scope of automation for any organization, and also what all we can do using what are the new features in IQ bot and a 2019. With that, let me get started. So the automation challenge. So when any organization goes in an automation journey, then as a RPA provider, what we do is we go and do process WhatsApps. We see what are the manual processes that can be automated. So with all these interactions, what we have seen is in most of the organizations, only uh, 20% of their data is structured, which can be properly automated using RPA. So RPA works very well for any kind of structured data or web interfaces or the data which is lying in databases, Excel sheets, basically a data which has structure. But for the data which is semi-structured or unstructured, like invoices, purchase orders, like the data which is captured in terms of scanned images or emails or documents which are basically not structured, which to read which we will need some kind of a OCR tool, or we have to do a screen scraping. So for those kind of data, it is very difficult to automate that using only using the RPA solution. So to address that, and this kind of data is basically most of the data for any company is in a semi-structured or unstructured format. We see very less data which is in a structured format. So mostly 80% of the data is hidden, which we call as a dark data. To address that, Automation Anywhere provides IQBot as a tool, which converts semi-structured data into structured data, which can be again utilized for the RPA automation. And for for the unstructured data like emails, voices, images, for that we have a couple of tools in the industry which can process unstructured data. But most of the tools, they have a very very long learning curve, or they are very complex to integrate. It has a pretty high go life time. But we wanted to bring in something which will be faster go to market, easy to learn, intuitive for business users, and it should be powerful to read the semi-structured data and help with the RPA automation. So let's see how IQPod helps in this automation journey. We move forward. So now we will see how any kind of a business process where basically we get documents. Let's take example of invoice processing. So that's the most common use case we see in many industries. So let's take example of invoice processing. Let's see what we will do. How do we automate a end-to-end invoice processing use case using a legacy OCR tool, and how do we do it using IQBot? So when I talk about legacy OCR tool, OCR as a concept, it has been there for a long time. But when we use OCR for automating such processes like invoice processing or purchase orders or contract documents or any such semi-structured data processing, What are the different roadblocks that we see during the automation journey? So first of all, we get these documents from various different vendors. We get them from, let's say, we have, just giving an example, let's say we have 1,000 documents from 50 different vendors, and they all send us this document. They all put it in a FTP location, or they send it to us by email. It is very difficult to classify those documents. All of them will be of a different format, and if we have to process all of them through OCR, then it will be somebody who will sit and put them into different buckets, because the layout of the documents will be different for each vendor. Even for a single vendor, it might be different. And then for each of the template, each kind of layout, we have to build a piece of code in OCR, which will read that data and read that document and extract data out of it. And if there is, like how OCR reads data from many documents is based on coordinates. And if there is a little bit change in the document layout or how the data looks like, then the OCR fails to extract our required data out of it. So there is usually a lot of failures. So there has to be somebody who will sit and monitor what is the data which is extracted through OCR, and also process the failed documents. And there will be a validation process as well. So the data which is extracted, that has to be validated against back office data. It will go through a approval workflow. Then finally, it will go for review and approval. So with all this, the automation, the percentage of automation, the percentage of tasks that we can automate in this end-to-end process is really, really less. It goes down a lot. So here you'll see an interesting term called STP. STP in Automation Anywhere language, we call it as straight through processing, which means a document gets in the queue and goes out of the queue with no human intervention. So 30% STP means 100 documents we have supplied to this particular solution, OCS solution, and 30 of them got processed successfully. That means we are still using 70% of the efforts that we were using earlier, and we are still having the humans in loop. They are still doing the mundane tasks that they used to do earlier. So that, and that along with that, it has a longer setup time, because you have to build different kind of different OCR codes for different kind of templates. When it comes to a cognitive automation or IQbot, what IQbot does is when we so let me take the same scenario. We have 1,000 invoices from 50 vendors. We load all 1,000 invoices to IQbot, and what IQbot does is it understands the document layout. It identifies what are the fields. So we define the fields that from these documents I have to read. Let's say in case of a invoice, I have to read 10 different fields, like invoice number, invoice date, invoice total, bill to address, ship to address, like that. We want to read 10 fields out of each invoices. So what it does is it analyzes each document. It creates a digital footprint of each of the document. Then it puts them into different buckets according to the document layout, and it does it automatically. So this classification effort is saved. We don't have to sit and go through all the documents. That's something IQBot will do for us. And once once the documents are classified, we just have to tell the tool that we have to train one document of each group. We have to tell the tool from where it has to read each of the fields. Some of the fields will be identified itself. We just have to do a eyeballing and confirm if IQBot is reading the correct data. And then pretty much it. We don't have to write any piece of code, nothing. And once it is done, uh, we can deploy that solution. Uh, then we can process as many invoices of from those vendors as we can. If anything fails to get extracted by IQBot, that goes to a validation queue, which is again inbuilt in IQBot. You will get kind of a split screen view in IQBot where you will see what field is extracted, what is the exact error, whether it was able to extract the field or not, or is it expecting a different kind of data, like let's say in place of a date, it is extracting a number maybe. So those kind of documents will be queued in a validation queue, and then somebody can just sit and correct those uh, correct those documents. And when this correction is being taken place, the system is learning from these corrections. Let's say there's a date which is 10th of January 2020, and by mistake, the underlying OCR engine it read it as IO Jan 2020. So what the analyst or whoever is doing the validation is supposed to do is just replace IO with 10. When we are making this change, then IQBot is learning that for this particular field, it is not IO, it is 10. And next time we process a similar kind of document, it will initially it will automatically suggest the analyst to make that change that it is not what we have extracted. You change this to 10th, and over a period of time, once it gets that confidence, it will do that auto correction itself. So in this machine learning in place, the STP or the straight through processing that increases day by day. So each time we process it, we get some kind of error and we process the failed document. The tool learns from it, and next time the extraction quality will be better. Along with that, the approval workflow or the downstream process that will be automated using A2090. And again, the final review and approval that can be done using A2019 as well. So with IQBot and A2019, the setup time is around 5 to 10 times faster than a traditional OCR solution, and we get at least a double STP than what we get in a legacy OCR solution. And we are being conservative in saying double STP. It depends on the quality of documents as well. We have seen as high as a 95% STP as well. So this is how IQBot compared to a traditional solution, a traditional OCR solution. It has these advantages: a faster time to set up, faster go to market, and better accuracy and better extraction quality. What IQBot uses is it uses cognitive capabilities to do higher quality data extraction from any kind of semi-structured digital documents. increasing the STP. And it also uses machine learning techniques to analyze document layout. So there are two places it uses machine learning techniques. One is to analyze the document layouts, classify and identify the data fields, and then putting them in different buckets. Also, so this is the major point which reduces the setup time. We don't have to manually classify it and then bucket it and then create different templates, OCR templates for different documents. This is something IQBot will do it for ourselves, and we just have to train like one document from each group. This is the only solution. When I'll walk you through a quick demo, and you'll realize that this is the only solution that doesn't require highly trained experts for setup and maintenance. This is made for business users, and anybody can learn IQBot and pretty much create a bot in IQBot. IQBot as a tool, it completes our offering of digital workforce. So RPA does the process automation part, the cognitive automation or IQBot, it does the thinking part, it understands the data, extracts the data, and it posts it to RPA. It posts it in a structured way to RPA to automate it further. And that along with Bot Insights, which is another offering from IQBot, it completes our offering of a digital workforce. And it also gives the customer an end-to-end solution that no other RPA company can do on their own. Uh, so there is no other solution, there is no other provider right now which does the cognitive automation, RPA, and analytics at the same time in a same platform. What makes it unique is industry-leading data extraction. This is OCR agnostic. So IQBot uses OCR engine in the backend. There are a few OCR engines which are used to extract data, but it is OCR agnostic. You will have a choice of OCR engine. Right now, we integrate with Tesseract, Abby, Microsoft Azure, and each of these has their advantages. With the introduction of Microsoft Azure, we are even stepping into extracting handwritten documents and the documents of uh, pretty bad documents which have colored background like ID cards uh, or documents where the data is not very clear. Those kind of documents also we are able to extract using Microsoft Azure API. And these OCR engines come pre-packaged with IQBot. You don't have to go and get another OCR solution, then put IQBot on top of it. This is all comes pre-packaged, and all those licensing and everything is taken care by Automation Anywhere. So it uses the OCR engine only at the backend just to extract the data. Then it uses its own AI algorithms and machine learning techniques to make sure the quality of the extraction is good. It is ultra intuitive for business users. It is faster to set up, easy to train and improve, and it is powerful for developers as well. While we have built it for business users, it also has that power of writing inline scripts. We can do pre-processing and we can write inline scripts in Python in IQBot itself. So with the pre-processing validation script, customizable workflows, it is ultra powerful for developers as well. So these are some of the technologies that IQbot uses to make sure the data extraction is of the best quality. And it basically uses computer vision, NLP, fuzzy logic, machine learning. It can be integrated with language translation, sentiment analysis, or any kind of a chatbot solution as well. So those are kind of third-party AI integrations which we can do. We can do that using AA 2019 as well. These are some of the latest AI technologies that we use for doing the pre-processing to document classification to extraction, validation, and human-in-loop validation. So when I talk about pre-processing, some of the documents that we get, yeah, mostly from invoices, like taking the example of ACN, any ACN invoices. Uh, so we usually see those are not of the best best quality. So before the document gets loaded to IQpod, we can do a lot of pre-processing on the documents like binarization, noise reduction, deskewing. All those things can be done in before the document gets loaded into IQbot, so that uh, the extraction quality is best, and all this can be done in IQbot itself. We don't have to build a third party tool, or we have to build a solution in like OpenCV to come up with a pre-processing technique. It can be done in IQbot itself. For document classification, it uses unsupervised learning, supervised learning, and excuse and OCR is used for also classification and extraction. So these are a few of the technologies which are used to make sure the extraction quality is good and we get the maximum straight through processing. This is again, I'd like to repeat that this is ultra intuitive for business users, and the quality of extraction continuously improves with machine learning. So each time the tool finds a error, a user updates it, it learns from that correction, and so the extraction quality continuously improves. While in case of a OCR solution, each time you face an issue, you will wait for your developers or IT to update the code, or create an exception, or create another template. So with time and volume, IQpod's extraction quality and the STP improves, unlike uh, any other OCS solutions. So, like I was mentioning earlier, you can plug and play your OCR. So, plug and play means it is already available in IQbot, Tesseract, Abby, Microsoft OCR. All this is already pre-packaged in IQbot. You can pretty much choose any of these OCR engines and do your document processing. You can add your code as well for document validation, or let's say you are processing uh, any kind of document. You have to per se validate a vendor name against a vendor master, or you have to validate a GSTIN number, or you are getting an address as a single field. You have to split that address between what is the street, what is the country, what is the state name. For all that, you can write a Python script and you can do that validation. This you can do inside IQbot itself, and you have the option to customize workflows as well. These are some of the key features and capabilities in IQBot and A2019. Uh, Noise correction, grayscaling, this noise correction, grayscaling, deskewing, pre-processing. All these are pre-processing techniques which can be done in IQBot and A2019 itself. Pre-processing and Python-based user logic ingestion. So this actually extends the scope from semi-structured output to unstructured, semi-structured document processing to unstructured document processing as well. Because with the Python-based user logic, we can uh, we can write a piece of code to identify data from a paragraph. We can identify sentiments. We can identify so basically, we can do a lot using any Python-based user logic. So right now we are able to do email processing, so identifying the intent from a particular email, then putting it in a particular queue. So all those are right now possible in A2019 and IQ. Unsupervised, supervised machine learning models for grouping and validation. This I have already touched on this, that we use unsupervised and supervised machine learning models for document classification and validation. Fuzzy logic. So these are a few of the new features in IQBot and A2019. API-based advanced integration. Yeah, I should uh, talk about this as well. So there are REST APIs, standard APIs, which are available in IQBot and A2019, which can be used to integrate this tool in your existing landscape. It is localized in 8+ languages. So the interface itself, the tool interface, it is available in more than 8 languages. We are still planning to add more languages, and it supports 190+ languages for data extraction. So yeah, it covers pretty much all the languages that we have, uh, and we can extract data from any kind of any files. We have something called an intelligent document splitter. In case of mortgage documents or contract documents, where we get different kind of documents in a clubbed in a single document. And for that case, we have to identify keywords. Then let's say it's a 50-page or a 100-page document, and it comprises of different kind of documents in different sections. So we have built something like an intelligent document splitter, which can be used to identify each section of the document, which can be splitted and processed separately. Okay, let me take you through a quick demo. If you have any questions, please note it down, and we will take the questions later after this session. Okay, so before we create a learning instance here, so this is how a IQBot screen looks like. This is again, this is web-based tool. You don't have to install anything locally. And the same goes with A2019 as well. Yeah, other than the bot agent, there is nothing local in A2019. So once it is installed, once you have it in your network, you have access to the server. You can pretty much access it from anywhere within your organization. So this has this dashboard, which gives you which gives a metrics on how many document processed, what are the pages uploaded, what are the different instances you have, what is the overall STP accuracy, etc., etc. Then learning instances will have all of those learning instances that you have created. Domains, I'll talk about it. Domain boards, administration. So you can do a migration from one environment to other environment in iQpot itself. So let's create a new instance. Okay, one more thing for that. We spoke about different OCRs, uh, Tesseract, Abby, Microsoft Azure. So how do they work with IQBot? If we want to use Abby today, and let's say after a month I realize that I have to choose Microsoft Azure, then how do we make that change? So it's very simple. So any administrator can simply go to the installation server where it is installed. Here, if you see OCR engine, it is mentioned as Microsoft Azure API. So right now it is using Microsoft Azure OCR. I'm going to show you some handwritten data extraction. So that's why I'm using the Microsoft Azure API OCR engine, which is based in cloud. Right now in the industry, uh, this is the best OCR engine which you can use for handwritten data extraction. And with that, let me try to create instance. So when I create this instance, you'll see there's nowhere where I am writing any code or writing any kind of script to develop it. Once you get trained, the learning curve is pretty easy. Once you're trained, you can create your own instances. You can make use of the community edition and get hands-on on A2019 and IQBot. So let me say handwritten test extraction. Document type, I'm going to process invoices. So there's an interesting thing here in document type or domains, as we call it. So when I select invoices as a domain here, you'll see there are a list of fields which you can see popped here in the screen. So when I say invoices, you'll see these fields. So these are the most common fields which we extract from any invoices across industry. If I select, let's say, purchase order, then so these are the fields that we usually extract from purchase order. If I select, let's say, billing statement, these are some fields which are extracted from billing statements. Now you may have a doubt that are these all the fields that we can extract, or can we extract something else? Yeah, you can, of course, add optional fields. So we try to cover all the fields uh, which are generic in industry for this kind of documents. So if you have anything which is not in this list, you can add that field. And also what it does is in IQBot, all these fields are pre-built, and along with these fields, there are different aliases and basically synonyms of these fields. Like for let's say uh, for invoice number, it can be mentioned as a number, just a number for one vendor, or INV number for another vendor. So if you see in the tool, all these uh, possible list of synonyms in all the languages, not only in English, in all the languages, all these aliases are already pre-built in the IQBot tool. So this really helps in extracting data from different vendors, from different kind of templates, and classifying them into different groups. These aliases are used to help in identifying the right data field. and also putting them into different groups. So let me just browse and select few of the fields. Let's see what I have. Samples. So just select some samples. Let me select, let's say, five, six of them. Six of them. What I want to extract is invoice date, number, total, billing address. Okay, let me extract this. So I can pretty much select everything, but yeah, let me try to extract these four fields. And then I click on create instance and analyze. What does this mean is I have selected these six files and I want to extract these fields out of these six files. I'm just creating an instance to extract data. When I when I click on the create instance, what it does is it applies the classifier algorithms. It does a semantic analysis, means what are the fields that are selected, what are the different aliases it has, what are the layout of these files, and where exactly I'm able to find these fields. And as soon as it will identify a particular field, uh, a particular document which is invoice, it will pop it up for us for that document training. So if you see here, invoice date, it has identified the invoice date. It is 941063. It is reading it correctly. Invoice number is 10. So if you want to extend it, you can just extend it. And one more interesting thing I should mention here is it doesn't do a coordinate based extraction. So here we are mentioning a field level and a field value. So it is saving it in a key value pair. Now, if invoice hash, or in case if not invoice hash, if for any synonym of invoice number, if it doesn't appear here, it appears, let's say, in the bottom, then also we'll be able to extract the invoice value because it is keeping the data in a key value pair. Invoice total. So now it is reading this as the invoice total. I'll just make a correction. I'll treat this as invoice total, billing address, bill to John Snow, 135 The Wall, the North, 15003. And the table, okay, let me make them optional as a form. Item total, optional, quantity. I'm not mapping it, keeping it optional. I'm just checking the fields on the top. So if you see here, it extracted invoice date, invoice number, invoice total, billing address, and if we click on next, it will show other. So I have just trained one document. Now it will show the other documents which are of the same type. So invoice date, number, total. If you see another thing, invoice total, here it has a dollar sign. But when we are reading it into an invoice total field, it is ignoring the dollar sign because the tool knows that for invoice total, I might expect a currency symbol, and that will not be required for the downstream process. So it is removing that. So like that, you can just scroll around and you can see what are the data extracted. So just go back to training and to save and close. You can save it or save or send to production. That means it is ready for deployment. So let me save on send to production. It also created another group. So I loaded 6 documents. So 4 of them are grouped together and 2 of them are grouped separately. If I click on this, invoice date. So here 2016, the 6 is mentioned as B. So it didn't read it correctly, it read 201B. So ideally this will be going to a validation queue. Invoice number, invoice hash, I'll just change this to here and I'll mark it here. Invoice total, invoice total is total due. So what I'll do is I'll just draw a pattern around it and I'll just draw this so that it extracts the right value. Then billing address, let's say this. And so the table fields again, I'm not extracting it right now. Okay, see extraction results. If you see here, this is not a date format, so it says invalid date format. Invoice total, it's an invoice, it is an invalid number format because there are spaces in between. It is a invalid number format. What can you do? So I haven't shown you the different validation conditions and the scripting yet, how we can do it. So these are the options that you have for uh, for data like invoice number and all. For some vendors, it always starts with a particular character or ends with a particular character. So those kind of patterns you can give. You can give a regular expression in the pattern field. Like this is very useful for data like PAN card, PAN numbers, or GSTIN numbers. Uh, you can give a pattern. You can give a list from which it can validate. You can also write a logic in Python. So let's say I want to remove spaces from this data. Okay, so I'll just put it in full screen. I'll write a simple line. And I can just paste it right here. So when I click on the test run, it will compile that line and it will show me that so this was the value before and this is what I am getting. So it is basically removing the spaces. And there might be a better way to write that code, like trimming and all. We can use strip and just showing an example that this is how we can write Python. You can also import libraries, and you can import libraries like pandas, import RE for any regular expression. You can do all that here. Now save and close. So now this is ready to process any number of documents of these formats. Once you put this to production, you are pretty much done with for these two vendors. You can put this in production and you can process n number of documents of this form. If it encounters a new kind of document, it will create a group for you and it will ask you to train it. So that is pretty much on the demo part. Some of the use cases that we have for IQBot that we see for most of the industries are invoices, invoice processing, purchase orders, insurance claims, uh, loan applications, EOBs, HR forms, shipping notices, way bills, GST use cases, Form 16s, KYCs. So pretty much anything, any kind of document which has kind of a basic structure. So right now, with the help of Python and Microsoft Azure, we are stepping into the unstructured data zone as well. But pretty much which has some kind of a structure that can be processed with IQ bot very easily. It has to be it can be PDF documents or TIFF files, JPEG files, PNGs, anything we can process that with IQ. And these are not the uh, only use cases for IQ bot. So these are some of the examples. As long as we have documents of this format, or we can convert the documents to this format, we can process anything. So with that, I'll close this session and go download the community edition of IQBot and a 2019 Create Report and go be great.
All right. Thanks a lot, Amitabh, for that wonderful session. It was indeed very informative. And I believe our viewers out there loved the session as well. And like Amitabh mentioned, so you guys can go down to skillenza.com and refer to the resources tab where you can find the link to a 2019 community edition platform. Quickly moving on to our next speaker, who will be talking about Microsoft Azure functions. So we have Mohit Chabra, who has joined us all the way from Germany, and he is working as a DevOps architect at Media Lesson GmbH Germany. So let me just quickly give a small introduction before I hand over the platform to him. So prior to this, he has worked for Harman International, AIS, and Microsoft. So he is a Microsoft MVP for Azure and working on Azure since the last 8 years, right? And he was also India's first Azure champion and the first person in India to work with Microsoft Technology Center. He has won multiple hackathons from Yahoo, Microsoft, Porsche, and BlackBerry as well. So it's an honor and pleasure to have you with us, Mohit. And with that, I hand over the platform to you for your session. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Azhar, for the warm introduction, and I want to thank Amitabh as well for the amazing session. It was quite useful for me as well, for the person who doesn't know much about. I would say I don't know much about RPA or automation, so it was quite useful for me as well, and I think it was useful for the other participants as well.